All right, let's go to the top story. I'm sure you know what this is. Waukesha. What's it? Matt Walsh calls it Waukesha. I think he knows he's pronouncing it wrong. Waukesha locals described the chaotic Christmas parade scene and questioned the suspect's bail. Okay, so if you don't know about this, this is in Waukesha, Wisconsin. They have great names for towns up in Wisconsin. All these, I want to say, Native American names, but I want to say Lakota Sioux names. I don't know. So residents and business owners told Fox News when they experienced what they experienced when a vehicle plowed through a crowded Christmas parade in downtown Waukesha, Wisconsin, killing 5 and injuring dozens of others. Quote, we heard the noise outside first starting when the vehicle must have hit the person, said Norman Bruce, who owns a book and toy store along the parade route. Quote, when I stood up, I could see that there were some band members in from the Waukesha South High School laying in the street. And everybody's like, oh, that's not normal. He told Fox News he opened up his shop doors to offer parade goers protection from the chaos once he saw the destruction outside. Quote, I got up and went over to the door and invited people in, Bruce said. We made sure that everybody got in safely. Bruce, who owns a shop with his wife, said one of the injured band members made his way into the store where he received treatment. 2 people grabbed one of the band members that was hurt, Bruce told Fox News. He was bleeding from his head, and we brought him in. We got a chair and sat him down, and they kept on attending to him. Crystal, who lives above the Nice Ash cigar bar, cool name, where she also works as a bartender, said she also brought frightened spectators into the bar. Poured them all shots. Quote, I was watching the parade out my window, she told Fox News. Came downstairs and walked into the bar just started bringing people into the bar and having people shelter inside to find their kids, find their family. Excuse me. Crystal said she estimated the SUV was driving roughly 40 miles an hour, and it appeared the driver was aiming at people and hitting them and then driving over them. A young man named Hayden, who said he spent most of his life in Waukesha, told Fox News, quote, I had a lot of friends there at the Waukesha South Band that got hit. One of my best friends got hit, bruised ribs and everything. But I knew everyone that got injured. Guillermo, a Waukesha local who owns a local dress shop downtown, said he didn't attend the parade, but his family was there to take in the unofficial kickoff to the Christmas season. Quote, I feel very bad because my family was there, he told Fox News. Thanks to God, they're all okay, but other people close to my family, they are in the hospital. Daryl Brooks was arrested and charged with multiple homicide counts over the incident. Brooks, who has a lengthy criminal history, was recently locked up on felony charges but released after he posted a $1,000 cash bail earlier this month. Quote, I think the low bail is what made it possible for him, the suspect, to be out here to do that, a man named Rick told Fox News as he smoked a cigar inside Nice Ash cigar bar. Quote, if he hadn't bailed out, this would have never happened. Never have happened. Okay, well, there's one thing I want to say before everyone gets all their panties in a bunch about this thing. It's like, this guy's been arrested. Calm down. Don't jump to any conclusions. All right? That's the mistakes of the Rittenhouse trial, okay? What I will say, the differences between the Rittenhouse trial and this arrest is that they're not really bringing up what's on his social media. They're not really mentioning that this guy was a BLM supporter, that this guy had all sorts of racist lyrics in his rap videos, rap music. You know, they're ignoring this. They're certainly, even Fox News is not really talking about this. Because if you want to say that, racism is an issue, it's like, I agree. It can be an issue, especially if there's some militant guy who's been reading the wrong news, been misinformed for far too long because of the mainstream media, trying to tell him that because of his skin color, that the whole of American society is stacked against him, which is nonsense. It's nonsense. All right? When it comes to justice, it has to be done on a case-by-case basis. That's why I'm saying you have to wait for all the evidence to get collected to find out, what actually happened. And just like the Rittenhouse trial, we didn't really know what actually happened until the verdict came in. That's how law works in this country. So don't jump to conclusions about this guy, although I think it is quite obvious that he's probably just some racist person who hates white people. I could be wrong, and I'll be glad to say I was wrong. I'd be happy to find out there's one less I was wrong about somebody being a racist. Anyway, let's go on to this next story about Kyle Rittenhouse, because he was on Tucker Carlson. I don't know if you watched it, but boy, Tucker Carlson is one of the most lovable goobers I've ever seen, because he is a goober. Oh man, he is such a goober. Anyway, so Kyle Rittenhouse recounts the Kenosha riots, reacts to media portrayal of the trial in first interview since his acquittal. Excuse me. In an exclusive interview with Fox News' Tucker Carlson, Kyle Rittenhouse spoke out about the night of the Kenosha riots that led to his arrest, as well as his eventual acquittal by jury and the angry reaction of the mainstream media and Democrats, including President Biden. Rittenhouse, who was 18 years old, was acquitted in the shooting deaths of two men, Anthony Huber and Joseph Rosenbaum, as well as the wounding of Gage Grosskreutz, whom he shot through the right bicep after a protester pointed a pistol at him. Rittenhouse told Carlson that he was staying at the home of a friend during the Kenosha riots and was mystified and troubled by the lack of resources provided to the police force in trying to quell the violence after the shooting of Jacob Blake. Quote, "I'm not really sure where the police presence was because they have a hard job, but I don't really think they got the support they needed," he said. The governor, Tony Evers, failed the community, and there should have been a lot more resources to help with that. Evers, a Democrat, was critiqued at the time by several observers, including then-President Trump, for the perceived inaction as the Wisconsin city was engulfed in violence. Rittenhouse recalled the first time he saw Rosenbaum, who he noted he had never met, but was taken aback by the violent nature of the man. Rosenbaum, a convicted child abuser, also appeared to unsettle nearby rioters at the time, Rittenhouse said. Quote, there was actually a second time I encountered him, and he said to the group, this is the second time he threatened to kill everybody. He said, I'm going to effing kill you. I'm going to cut your hearts out, you effing N-words. That sounds like the patter the guy used. That's how he talked. When asked by Carlson, Rittenhouse remarked that the rioters were disassociating with him because he was spewing the N-word around, and they didn't seem to want to deal with him. Yeah. That's how it goes. That guy seems crazy. Let's get away from him. Give him a wide berth, He then went on to recount the events that led to him shooting the three men, including Huber, who smacked him in the head with a skateboard. Rittenhouse described how after the shootings, he unsuccessfully attempted to surrender to Kenosha police officers stationed at the barricade down the street from where the incidents occurred. One officer told him to go home, which the teen told Carlson was likely because he did not hear him admitting to shooting the rioters. Quote, I go back to the car source lot number 2. I tell everybody there what happened, and I said I had to do it. And I was just attacked. I was dizzy. I was vomiting. I couldn't breathe. That concussion sounds like. Or probably just stress. Stress or concussion can do both of those things. Quote, we couldn't. I wanted to turn myself into the police in Kenosha, but I wasn't able to because they weren't accepting visitors. So apparently, with the barricades and the fence up, so we ended up turning myself into the Antioch Police Department. That means he probably had friends or family telling him, yeah, turn yourself in somewhere else because they're busy in Kenosha tonight. Rittenhouse said his hometown police department, just south of the state line, is the closest law enforcement agency to Kenosha besides that city's barracks for state troopers. The now acquitted man went on to say that he he is not inherently political and opportunists took advantage of him. Quote, I agree with the BLM movement. I agree everybody has the right to protest and assemble. I agree with that, not necessarily the BLM movement. But I do not agree that people have the right to burn down American cities to try to spread their message, he said. I think there are other ways to go around to do that. Correct. Rittenhouse also criticized his initial counsel, high-profile attorney L. Lincoln Wood, and co-counsel John Pierce, who he said took advantage of him and were at times incompetent. Yeah, their arguments, they did. The prosecution basically did half their jobs, so they kind of phoned it in. Anyway, so, quote, I was in jail for 87 days. Lynn Wood was raising money on my behalf, and he held me in jail for 87 days, disrespected my wishes, and put me on media interviews, which I should never have done, along with John Pierce. They said I was safer in jail instead of at home with my family. Rittenhouse said that at one point, Pierce claimed Rittenhouse was in an organized militia, which Rittenhouse called blatantly false. I didn't know what a militia was, he said. I was like, what the heck? And I'm like, no wonder. Oh, finally you're talking like a kid. I was like, what the heck? And I'm like, no wonder people are saying I'm in a militia. It's because he painted that narrative, which he should never have gone there to. Which he should have never have gone there to, he told Carlson. The 18-year-old, however, conversely praised his eventual counsel, Mark Richards and Corey Chirafisi. Rittenhouse told Carlson he in some ways did not believe he as a person was truly on trial, given the way the case was covered. It was the right of self-defense on trial. If I was convicted, no one would ever be privileged to defend their life against attackers, he said. Apparently, to many people on the left, it is criminal to protect your community. Rittenhouse further condemned Biden for prejudging him as a white supremacist in a 2020 campaign ad. Quote, Mr. President, if I could say one thing to you, I would urge you to go back and watch the trial and understand the facts before you make a statement, the Illinois resident said. Quote, it's actual malice, defaming my character for him to say something like that. Biden was not alone in his accusations about Rittenhouse, and as you know, if you keep up with the news, everyone's been calling him a white supremacist and stuff like that, even though he shot white people. I don't get it.
Well, clearly, he was the last white person standing, so he was the...
Yeah, he was last white guy standing.
Obviously, in that situation, he was
only racist. Here's something I will say about Kyle Rittenhouse and his acquittal. Him crying on the stand and the way he wept after he was found not guilty were exactly the same. But I see all these people on these left-wing news channels, they're trying... Vigilante's going to be coming for all of us. They're the ones with the crocodile tears. All right? Kyle Rittenhouse, he was very believable. At 18, having to be forced to defend yourself like that. That's emotionally scarring, even if you know you're in the right. Even if logically, in your mind, you know you were right to do what you did. You still have to live with the fact that those people are dead, and if you had made different choices in your life, perhaps they wouldn't be dead. That's a fact he's going to have to live with the rest of his life. And that's why he cried on the stand, because he knew that no matter what, even if he's acquitted, he has to live with that. All right? And when those charges were coming down, they were being read off and said, not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. And he just collapsed. I don't blame him at all. He's only 18 years old after all. And after all the video coverage and all the multiple video angles that we got from this incident, I can't believe he was as controlled and reserved as he was. If I were in that situation, I would be definitely going to jail. I would be getting the guilty verdict because I do not have the control to fire a single shot at somebody who pulls a gun on me. All right. And even in this interview with Tucker Carlson, he seemed like a calm, controlled, and intelligent young man. He wasn't out there in the street, I'm going to effing kill you, N-words. Anyway, I hope he becomes a very rich man by suing all these people who've been talking trash about him.